Hey everyone, welcome to By Goldenberry. I'm Tina, and today I'm going to show you how to make these headphone earpad covers. The soft padding on your earpads have started to shed and flake everywhere, then this pattern is for you. The covers keep all the shedding contained, and it means you can keep wearing your headphones for longer and not have to buy any new ones. If you're looking for a tutorial that doesn't have an open center like this, then I have another video that shows you how to make these covers without an open center. I'll link it at the top for you so it's easy to get to. I'll take one of these earpads off so that you can see what they're like on the inside. So if you can see, if yours are like this and all the coating is starting to come off, then you can make these covers and keep all the shedding contained. You can see it starting to come off onto the table. But if you have these covers, they'll keep everything contained and you can still keep wearing them. These headphones are Phillips wireless headphones, and the cushion measurements are roughly, the width is roughly 7.5 centimeters and the depth is about 2.5 centimeters, and the diameter of the open center is about 32 mil. Don't worry if your headphones are smaller or larger. I'm going to show you how to make the covers bigger or smaller to fit the size that you need, but they need to be completely round. What you'll need for this pattern is some really soft cotton yarn in sport weight. I'm using Eco Cotton from Grundle, and you'll need about 20 grams, which is 46 yards. I'll put some links in the description below for some other recommendations. And you'll need a 3mm crochet hook, a darning needle, a stitch marker, and 2 thin elastic bands. We're going to use these to crochet over in the last round to keep them secure over the earpads. Let's begin. I'm going to start by chaining 20. For the size of open center that I have on my earpads, that's a good amount of chains. If your open center is bigger or smaller, then chain less or more, so that when you join at the end, it kind of sits in the middle of the open center. I'll show you in a minute. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've chained 20 and I'm going to slip stitch, but I'm going to slip stitch into the back loop. So if we look closely, these are the 2 loops on the top. I'm going to find the back loop here. I'm just going to pull it up and slip stitch into there. It just creates a neater finish. So when we've joined, I'll just get the headphones again. We want this to kind of sit in the center of our earpad. It should kind of line the hole, just roughly like that. So you can see it kind of sits inside the space in the middle. So you just want the right amount of chains to do that. Just make sure that you chain an even number. So now that we have our inner loop, we're going to mark that join that we made. So get your stitch marker and just mark that join. And then for the first round, we're going to be working into the back loops like we did with the join. And we're going to do a single crochet all the way round in every stitch. If you're uncomfortable working into the back loop, then you can just work into the stitches like you would normally. As I said, it just gives a bit of a neater finish to the final cover. So I'm going to work into this back loop. So I'm just going to pull up the loop a little bit and single crochet into there, find the next one, pull it up, continue working into each chain and meet me back here when you reach the marked chain. This is the join that we marked, and we're just going to do another single crochet into that back loop on the join as well to finish the first round. And we're going to move this marker to the last single crochet that we made. So that's round one done. We're not going to be joining at the end of each round. We're going to just work in a spiral and keep going around like that. But we need to keep moving the marker so that we know when to finish each round. So you should have the same amount of single crochet stitches as you did have chains in the beginning. So if you chain 20, you should have 20 single crochet stitches. So for round two, we're going to work 2 single crochet stitches into the first stitch and 1 single crochet into the next. So we'll find our first single crochet stitch here and we'll make 2 single crochet stitches into there. And then 1 single crochet into the next, and then 2 into the next, and 1 into the next, and continue like that around, and meet me back here at the end. This is the end of round 2. I now have 30 stitches, and I move my marker to the last stitch of that round. And round 3 is going to be another increase round, so we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches and 2 single crochet into the next. So find the next stitch here, we'll do 1 single crochet and another one into the next, and then 2 into the next one, and then 1 into the next 2, and 2 into the next one. Continue with the same pattern until you get to the end and meet me back here in a second. We're at the end of round 3 and we should have 40 stitches around if you crocheted 20 for the middle. And we're going to increase again for the next round. We're going to make 2 single crochets into the first stitch and 1 single crochet into the next 3. So we'll begin with that. 2 single crochets into the first stitch and then 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches, and then 2 into the next, and 1 into the next 3. Okay, keep going and meet me back here at the end of round 4. We're at the end of round 4, and at this point you should have a flat circle like this that should fit, or it should sit, sorry, just inside the edge of the ear pad. So if we look closely, it's just sitting on top, and it's just running along the edge of the ear pad like that. So if you crocheted 20 to begin with, you should have 50 stitches by now. If your flat circle isn't big enough and it's not sitting along the edge of your ear pads just yet, then you need to keep increasing until you have a flat circle that sits on the top of the ear pad. If you chained 20 at the beginning like I did, but the width of your ear pad is bigger, then you just need to keep increasing each round by 10. So if you noticed, each round that we increased so far was increased by 10. If you made a bigger or smaller chain to begin with for the open center, then you just need to increase each row by half of the number of chains that you made. So let's say that you made it bigger and you chained 26, for example. You would increase each row by 13. And remember to keep alternating where you put the increase. So if you notice these rows that we made, we kept changing where the increase was. We started off with the second row being 2 single crochets first, and then 1 into the next stitch. And the row after that, we started with 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then the increase after that, 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And then row 4 was 2 single crochet into the first stitch again, and then 1 single crochet into the next 3. So if you're making more rows, the next row you would start with 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then the increase of 2 single crochet into the next stitch after that. So you just continue like that. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I'll try and answer them for you. It can get a bit confusing, I know, so I'm happy to help if you need to make a smaller or bigger size. If your flat circle is perfect for your ear pads and you don't need to increase anymore, then we're going to start shaping the edges. So the next round is just going to be single crochet into each stitch around. Meet me back here in a second. That's round 5 done, and we're going to continue just doing single crochet rows for the next 3 rows. So until row 8, we're just going to single crochet all the way around. So just meet me back here when you get to round 8. This is the end of round 8, and as you can see, we've created like a little dome that should sit nicely over the ear pad. And we're just going to make one more round, but we're going to make it around a hairband so that it holds on nice and securely onto the headphones. You want this hairband to be smaller than the actual ear pads so that it holds on tightly. But before we do that, if your edges are deeper than mine, so if you look at mine, this kind of sits over just nicely, and then if we make one more row, it's going to cover it completely. If you have deeper sides, then all you need to do, oh dear, it's shedding everywhere. All you need to do is keep making more single crochet rounds until you have the depth that you want. And then the last row, we're going to single crochet around the hairband. Just do your single crochet stitches like you would normally. You just go into the stitch, keeping the hairband on top of the hook, yarn over, pull through, and finish the single crochet. like that, and continue going round. So now you can see that the hairband is on the inside of the last row. And obviously the hairband's a lot smaller. It kind of looks like it's not going to make it round, but it does. And you can just keep stretching it until you make it all the way around. So meet me back here when you finish this last round. We're here at the last stitch, and I'm just going to move this marker. We don't need it anymore. I'm just going to do the last single crochet where the marker was to finish. And there we go, that's the end. So the underside looks like this with the elastic band around it. So it's nice and stretchy and it'll hold on to your ear pad nice and securely. And just to finish off, we're going to finish these edges with an invisible finish. So I'm just going to cut this end. And I'm going to pull the loop up like that. I'll get my darning needle. And to do an invisible finish, we're going to skip the next stitch and go into the stitch afterwards, like that, and then back into the middle of where the yarn came from. And then it creates like an extra stitch here where we missed one, and it looks like there's no seam or there's no knot or anything like that. And then you can weave it in a little bit to secure it, however you like. And we'll do the same for this section here so that it's a bit neater. So I'll get my darning needle again. And I'm going to skip this stitch and go into this next one. And then go into that stitch there. There we go. Pull it a bit tighter so that it comes together. And then again, weave it in to keep it secure. And then once you've done that and you're happy, you don't have to weave in the whole of the ends if you don't want to. Just pop them in. No one's going to see them anyway. And that's your cover done. Let's put it back on. And there we are. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, like I said, just pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to help you out. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more sustainable crochet patterns, and I'll see you next time.